So, we're to the step of, oh, cool, someone is watching. All right, to the step that we're going to score the bread and get it ready to go in the oven. Sorry if it's a little dark. Facebook video, weird. I don't know. It's not how I normally do this, but what do I know? So here's our, you can't see anything. There's the loaf. And in order to score it, I've tried a few different things, but I find the best thing is to use a very sharp knife. This is a Miyabi Japanese style knife. Just to make sure I'm not stuck in any way. I'm not going to screw myself over there. I'm going to actually just transfer this to a peel. Put a little bit of semolina or cornmeal, it's fine, whatever. Just something coarse. I'm going to transfer to this because it'll be easier for me to get it over to the stove and get it in the oven. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. This one I'm going to do seated, so that means I'm not prepared. Hang on. Put some water in my spray bottle here. I'm going to give it a spritz. I'm going to seed it and then I'm going to score it. If you score it and then seed it, then you get seeds in your scoring, which is fine. But, you know, I've realized that this is the way they do it, because then it looks a little more pro. I'm sure they don't sit here shaking the seeds on a calanders, but I'm trying not to waste too many of them and get them all over the floor. Alright, good enough. So when we score, we want to go straight down into the loaf. I'm going to score this one like a, you know, square. I'm going to go about a ½ inch into the loaf in one direction, ideally, as long as your knife is nice and sharp. That looks pretty good. Now, this knife needs a little bit of sharpening, but it's doing a good job. And I find I can't score too close to the edge, even though you think it's going to be close to the edge, but close to the edge is actually further to the middle when it's raw. When it's baked, alright, here we go. Let's see if we can do this. We're going to get this thing into the oven. I don't know, you don't really need to see how exciting that is, but remember, Dutch oven has been in there for an hour. It's freaking hot. And you're going to burn yourself if you touch it. Like, real bad. So, we're going to try to minimize the time if this thing is out of the oven. Normally I'd have a little more space, but I'm cooking a frittata over here. So, here we go. Let's see if I can drop it on the floor because I'm trying to eat too many things at one time. So like I said, I got the cornmeal on the bottom here. And we're going to go right in with this. And you can hopefully hear it just starts to steam. And that's why we want it, that's why this is so good. Now I have to remember not to touch the top of the Dutch oven with my hand because that would suck. Alright, there it is. Let's get this one in the oven. About halfway through the cooking. Oh, here's how this is going to work. We're at 450. Halfway through the time, it's 45-minute bake time. 30 minutes into the bake time, we're going to uncover it. And we're going to keep the lid of the Dutch oven in the oven because it's thermal mass, so why not keep as much thermal mass in the oven as we can. So I'm going to set the timer for 45 minutes. The other one's going to go in. I'm going to show you. I'm going to try to experiment and do a little different technique with that one. So I'm not going to seed this one. Dust these seeds off. Good enough. Alright. A little more semolina. I know I just lost my semolina. I could have used it again, but that's alright. This isn't like the fancy double O semolina that I use for pasta. This is just the coarse stuff. Alright, so here we got our other loaf. It's all fancy. I'm going to turn this out onto the board. See, that looks kind of pretty. But I'm going to score this a little differently. I'm going to score from the middle, kind of like a cross shape. I'm sorry, I'm standing in front of the camera. I don't know. My sister did this on a sourdough. Looked good. I'm going to try it. And we're going to go into the oven with this one. Oh yeah, so what I was saying was about halfway through your half hour, so like 15 minutes in, 20 minutes, I don't know, whatever, it's not exact. You notice, like, none of this is that exact. I'm not a commercial bakery. We're going to flip the dough, you know, the loaves. So this way, in case your oven's not even or whatever. Alright, that's in. And obviously the Dutch ovens are pretty close to the wall of the oven on the sides, so I like to just shift them over, and this way the other wall is close. This way, you know, the wall is, again, thermal mass. We don't want to burn one side and not cook the other. So there we go. That only took a minute. Not bad. I'm getting faster. I wonder how my frittata is doing. It's looking good. Okay. Turn the heat up a little bit. Anyway, maybe do another video on frittata. All right. That is that. In, like I said, so 450 degrees for 30 minutes. About halfway through that time, we're going to switch the Dutch ovens around. In 30 minutes, I will take the covers off, leave them in the oven, and then I will let it cook for 15 more minutes. When I take the cover off, it allows the browning to happen. And that's where you do have to watch it, because, you know, another 15 minutes... It depends on how you want your bread. I like my bread very crunchy, thick crust, you know, really just very hard bread in the outside. Inside's nice and moist, outside's nice and crunchy. That's what I'm shooting for. I don't even mind if my bottom gets a little bit past just brown. A little bit of black is good. Alright, I'm not going to make you sit here for 45 minutes while I cook dinner. I'm going to do that, and I'll check back in about 45 minutes I'll take them out of the oven, and we'll see. We won't get to eat them because they still need time to sit. You can't just cut into the loaf of bread. It's just like ruining all your work. Okay? Anyway, that's all I got. I'll see you in 45 minutes. Go eat dinner or something. That's what I'm going to do. Alright. Alright, back. Real quick. Very short video. I'll edit these together later, but at that time, I did switch the Dutch ovens around, and I'm going to take the covers off, and you can see here. No, you can't see because it's on me. You can't see me, especially not that close. Oh God, I don't want to see me that close. Okay, yeah, you can see that maybe these are ready to come off. Oh yeah, that's looking pretty good. And I'm going to put it up here for a second because it's going to be really hard to get it down to this bottom oven rack, which I should have pulled out first. Definitely invest in a good set of oven mitts if you don't have them already. Burning your wrists would really suck too. So, anyway, putting those down there. You can see that looks pretty good, right? So, you know, depending, you could go like 5 minutes. You could go the full 15. I'm gonna go the full 15. Like I said, I like crunchy bread, but that one looks really nice. All right, that's all. Check back in a couple minutes. All right, here we go. Bread's coming out of the oven. It's the moment you've all been watching these incredibly long videos for. It's actually been more than 45 minutes by just a minute because Kristen was making s'mores. That looks pretty good, right? Alright, you bought that at a store for like $5 at least. And here's the other one. Oh, that really came out beautifully. I don't know, because I don't really know what I'm doing. You didn't notice. I don't know if that marking had any effect on the spring, but it sure looks like. Let me pick up the camera here. It really looks like that bread kind of, you know, had a lot more oven spring than this bread, and I think it's probably mostly down to the scoring. You know, by scoring through the middle there, it's kind of allowed the bread to spring upwards more, whereas this one has kind of went sideways. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not bad, but just different. And I didn't even realize that was going to happen. So, see, every time I do this, I learn something. It's cool. Alright, so I'm going to do one more thing that's very important. Turn the oven off. I did that. And this is important, though. I got my rack here. And getting this bread out of the pans as quick as possible is very important. Because I just use a, spatula. Because you don't want it to... The Dutch oven and the bread are going to cool down at different rates. So you don't want this, steam to be created, and it ruins your crust. Now your crust is going to get a little softer at first, because there's a lot, there's moisture still inside the bread. It's not, so you might lose a little bit of crunch, but that could be fixed by either just throwing it back in the oven for a little bit, or I found that honestly, once it totally cools, if you really wait for it to cool properly, and you don't just, try to cut into it, you'll have no problem with that. It'll kind of firm back up. It just takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to put the Dutch ovens back in the oven. What I've also found that's really convenient is before I cut the breads, once they're totally cool and the Dutch ovens are cool, I actually like to just store the breads in my oven. It's turned off and they're in the oven, but it helps, keeps the moisture away. And that's it. Since it's kind of chilly out, I'll just leave my oven ajar, and I will get some of that heat, because why not? It's free. It's either that or it's just going to dissipate. I don't know where it goes, but that's it. Let me show you these loaves one more time here, since it's all over. I mean, I guess I could make a video of me eating it, but that's probably not going to be as much fun to watch. Actually, I don't think any of this was fun to watch, but I don't know. I hope it was. I hope it was somewhat entertaining. I hope you don't think I'm a complete and total moron. There's my breads. I will give half to my parents. And they'll be ready to eat tomorrow. Alright. If you have any questions about any of this, let me know. Send me a message. Glad to help anyone in any way I can. Alright. Good night, everyone.